should just like keep my day job, which is this, educating some color. We are getting my room set up right now to do some education. I'm going to be going live with Rusk Hickhair to do expensive brunette balayage. This is a technique you can do at home, or as a stylist you can do behind the chair. So we're going to get you guys set up, and then you're going to see me get all sorts of ready and everything with Rusk. Get this set up. I want to make you guys can see me. I still have like 10 minutes until I have to go super live with them. So I just want to get like all my lighting, everything into position to where it should be. Make sure you guys can see me, because I have this big old stand I have to set them up on. Okay. Put it right here. So tonight I'm going to be teaching expensive brunette balayage. We got my beautiful mannequin here. She's going to be here for us. And then I have to make sure I have everything that I'm going to need tonight. So that would be Product Club gloves. And then I think I have a towel in here. I have my apron. I have my foils. We have pop-up foils, regular foils. We have Ruskin 10. I gotta go get Color Bowl. That's what I need to get. Okay, so we have what we're gonna paint with. We have that. We have my developer. All right, I'm gonna take you guys with me to go get everything that I need. Shh, we're going through the house. Get everything that I need. My color brushes. Why am I whispering? I don't know. I dropped you. How are you okay today? What? We shut the door. Okay. Now we can get set up. I had to walk through the house to grab my color bows. All right, let's get you guys set back up. I always like to jump on here first with you guys to get you guys up and going before I do start coloring. I need to make sure I have a towel to wipe my hands. This is the only towel I have, and it's probably not. Wait. Oh, we got a black towel down here, you guys. Yay! Because this is like one of my nice fluffy towels I did not want to use. Okay, so this is going to be saved on my page, and so I will be responding to comments that come on here, but more or less it's just going to be me talking, because I'm going to be setting up second phone here because I will be live on Instagram on my tripod right there. I got my fan on. All right. How is everybody doing? Okay. Come on. Gotta put the description in. We're doing, why is it so lagged? Come on, there we go. Expensive. Express. Brunette. Oh. And I have an exciting announcement tonight. I've been waiting to announce this for a long time, you guys. Look what a Harley will do to you. A Harley? I agree. I'm a sport bike girl, but my husband rides a Harley, and I'm more like a Yamaha Kawasaki type of girl. So I get you, boo. Announce. We'll just leave it like that. Add brand partners. Okay, now I need to get it set up. I like your nails. Thank you. It's Halloween festive. Let's see. Update. Done. The phone's being really weird right now. Really weird. All right, let's get this set and ready to go. I need to drop it down just slightly more. Still have like 5 minutes, but all right. Make sure I'm good on here. Make sure I'm seen by both of you. All right, we are good. We're good. I need to get out my color swatches because we're doing Rusk color tonight, but we are going to be using Rusk in 10. I love when I have YouTube on live because I get to be me and just hang out. As soon as I hit go on my Instagram live, you'll see a different me. Alrighty. I think it's time to go live, you guys. I think. Alright. We have a clip. Need to make sure I have enough clips. We got a clip. Okay, we got our clips. We got our foil brush. We got our gloves. All right, I think we're good to go. Let's go live on IG, and I'm gonna have my attention here. I am live. Hi, you guys. How are you doing? We are live today, bringing you guys some education and a big announcement. I've been hyping up this live because I've been wanting to announce this for quite some time, but I haven't been able to announce. So I have, just been waiting. And I had a lot of people reach out to me. They're like, Katie, your bio is blank. What is going on? And a lot of people have been calling it my blackout. Blacked out my bio, trying to get everyone's attention. And I think I did, because several of you have been just like messaging me like crazy. Hi, Pam. Hi, everyone coming on. Okay, we're going to be on here for about an hour tonight, maybe a little bit more. So if you guys cannot watch this or stay on, come on back and let me know. But I need to make sure. Nope. Okay. So the big announcement that I have been wanting to announce is, you guys know that I love hair extensions. Installing, how they're done, how they're ethically sourced, the education, and I'm very particular on who I align myself with. So that is the exciting news, is I am now with Christian Michael Hair Extensions. And it's a smaller brand in a sense that it is owned by a hairstylist. You guys, her name is Tiffany. And working with a brand that is owned by a hairstylist, not many of us get that opportunity, because aligning myself with Christian Michael Hair Extensions, if I have needs or wants or something's missing, I was talking to a friend today, instead of it being a whisper that can sometimes get lost with big brands, when I bring anything that I want adjusted or changed, I can bring it to Tiffany and she'll make sure it's taken care of. She does hair behind the chair. So the extension quality that she is bringing in, she is seeing it day in and day out and making sure it is the best. Thank you, you guys. I'm so excited. Of course, I'm still with Rusk. We are here doing Rusk education. I am Rusk's artistic director. Plan on being that for as long as they'll have me, because I love Rusk. I'm with Rusk. I'm with Christian Michael Hair Extensions. I'm with Olivia Garden. and Product Club. Those are my babies right now. Love them all. And I just want to point out, I think it's very important that you work with brands that align with you. Being with a brand that will listen to you, you know, whether it's a travel issue, a product issue, that is very, very important. And so if you were looking to go with brands, the guys that I'm with, they listen to me. And that's what's really important. And I did get a lot of questions from people because when my bio went black, they're like, are you not with Rusk? I'm with Rusk. I love being the artistic director. It's such a joy. I love the team I get to work with, like David on here. It's such a special team, and we are growing, we are evolving, and Christian Michael Hair Extensions will be a part of Rusk. So we plan on bringing perms to hair extension world. We're going to have color theory for hair extensions, which I feel is missing so much because I feel like it's trial and error when it comes to hair extensions and coloring. We're told, you know, gloss and color with golds, and sometimes it's very unpredictable. So I'm excited. We have great education. So we have 3 education spots lined up. So far, thank you. So far, we have upcoming in November. If anybody is in California or wants to come to California in November, November 17th and 18th, I will be there with Tiffany. And we're going to be doing 7 different techniques. And then I'm going to be doing on the second day color formulating, application, all and everything that you need. Sorry, you guys, I wink when my husband comes in. Everything that you need to feel strong when it comes to color application with extensions, because that we all know can be scary. So that link that you will find to get tickets for our first class in November in California, Orange County, is in my bio. So you can hop on over to my bio, purchase your tickets there. The next 2 locations, we're gonna be here in Colorado. I can't wait. I'm gonna see so many of my Colorado girls. And I know a lot of you want to come to Colorado, so even more of a reason for you to come to Colorado. And then we're gonna have a New York location. Those dates are to be disclosed at another time once we have more set up. And you guys are going to see nothing but Christian Michael hair extensions, content, all of that being thrown at you guys. All right, so we got the big announcement done. You guys will see my bio put back with Rusk, Olivia Garden, Product Club, and Christian Michael. Let's get into some education. Right now is fall, and fall is the season of adding in depth. We're doing lots of reverse balayage, low lighting. We're really giving some richness and depth to a lot of our colors that we get really blonde through the summer. Either sitting in our chair, they're getting blonde, or outside and about, they are getting blonde. This technique that I'm going to teach to you guys today is great for brunettes, but you can also use this for a reverse balayage application. I'm going to be using Rusk in 10. I just had it out. Here we go. We're going to be using Rusk in 10 tonight, and I'm going to be doing my expensive express brunette application. That was a mouthful. And I'm going to be using Rusk in 10. So we are going to be providing a luxury custom color service for our client. And then we're going to give them even more luxury with them only having to process for 10 minutes. And we know that our clients love to hang out with us, but even when I'm in the chair, I'm watching my watch. I need to get going. I'm busy. So this will be really, really utilized for those clients that are just needing to get up and get going, or for you to utilize your books and be able to have more services within the day, or go home early if you want. So first, let's jump into some color theory knowledge with Rusk in 10. Rusk in 10 is a 10-minute color that is non-progressive. What does progressive mean? Progressive means that it's going to progressively get darker and darker after that 10-minute mark. With Rusk in 10, it's not progressive whatsoever. So after that 10 minutes, you can still leave it on and it's not going to progressively get darker on you. That is a win for me, especially in my studio, because I have limited storage. All my storage is pretty much here at home in my basement, and everything gets stored there. So being able to have a permanent hair color line is very important with my storage and with being able to budget my colors for each week of color applications. Now, one thing I do want to point out to you guys, we have our Deep Shine Permanent line with Rusk. That is our OG. She's in here. And the Deep Shine Permanent line, you're gonna see these guys, is European. Rusk and 10 is American. I talk about this all the time. So please make sure you know if you are working with an American line or European line, because if you reach for a level 6 and you're used to European and you use a level 6 in American, that level 6 is going to be a 7. In A, you're either not going to get the coverage, you're going to have a hot root, it's not going to be the tone, and you're going to be like, okay, I'm done with it. I'm not trying it because it's not working for me. You're just picking the wrong level. So make sure you double check, triple check which line you are working with. Now, with Rusk and 10 and with all Rusk hair colors, we have our developers. Our developers are universal. So we talk about storage. So let's talk about storage again when it comes to developers. We don't have to use a developer, a different one for my 10-minute color, for my permanent color, for my glosses, for my lighteners. One developer, and we have 0 lift, 10, 20, 30, and 40. So with Rusk and 10, you can pair it with any of the developers. Now let's get into the color portfolio of some Rusk and 10 for you guys. So when we open up, we have the beautiful swatches. I want to make sure I step out of the way so you guys can see. We have our swatches. So we have our double N, which is double brown plus yellow. So it's going to have a little bit of that warmth in it to help with that gray coverage. We have a 5NN and a 7NN. Next up, we have our natural series, our single N. We have 1 through 8. And this is what you're going to be working with gray color. I also use the N series for a lot of my formulas, even if they're not gray coverage. So then, my tripod's wiggling. Next up, we're going to come over to the Ash series. Our Ash series is going to say A, so we have 5A, 7A, 8A, green, blue, violet. Now, when you guys are looking at Ash, don't be like, oh, it's all got green, blue, and violet in it. Each level has a different dose of pure tones, and pure tones is literally the pure color green, the pure color blue. So when I am saying pure tones, that is what I'm referring to. So let's get back over to her. So we have 5A, which is green, blue. That green is going to help neutralize any of that red that you get in a level 5. That blue is going to give you the ash. 7A, we have blue, violet. So that blue is going to help knock out any of that orange, and that violet's going to help give you that ash. Then at 8A, we have blue, violet, once again, to knock out those warm tones. Next up, we have our S series. Our S series, I preach this all the time. S with all of Rusk hair color does not mean silver. S means sand. And sand, Nikki! Sorry, you guys, I got excited seeing Nikki. S means sand. And sand is like, I call it the Goldilocks formula. It's not too cool, not too warm. She is right there, perfect in the middle. Brilliant tone for that client that's like, I don't want warm, I don't want cool, I don't want this, I don't want that. I will reach for our sand series. And that's why it's important to have the swatch books. So in the sand series, it's yellow plus violet plus blue. So you're getting a dose of each color you need to essentially neutralize one another. And it's kind of like when I first started learning color theory, I learned very quickly that I'm a Veda trained, I loved using a V and a Y together. They neutralize each other, but in a sense they don't, because it all dictates on what exact level you are using and what pure tones you're using with, how strong those pure tones will be at that level. So with the sand, we have a 6S, 8S, and 10S. Then we're going to move on over to the G's. Our G's are straight up yellow. We have a 6G and an 8G. We have our copper and copper gold series. We have 6C, 6CG. Then our reds. I love. Rusk probably has the best reds in the industry, hands down. We have our 5M, light mahogany brown, which is a red violet. Then we have our 6R, which is straight up red. Then we don't want to sleep on the fact that we have HLA, which is High Lift Ash. It's violet and gold. You're going to get 4+ levels of lift on virgin hair. So this is a lift and tone for those of you that aren't familiar with any high lifts. Then we have Boost, and I have gone through Boost. Boost is clear. Boost is essentially going to rise the pH balance in any hair color formula that you have. And when you raise the pH balance, as well as the cuticle, allows for better deposit. Did a whole thing on it. So that is the beautiful Ruskin 10 color portfolio. Now, for the color map, head map that I'm going to be using today, if you guys go over right now, go over to my page, Instagram, I'm on YouTube and Instagram right now, go onto my Instagram bio, and you're going to see Expensive Express Brunette. I have the formula I'm using today. I have the head map I'm using today. You will find all of that on there. I posted it on my stories last night on Instagram. I don't know if it's still up there. I will definitely repost after my class. Alrighty. So the tools we are going to need today when we are doing a reverse balayage. So first of all, I'm going to be neat and tidy. We are going to put on a color apron. This is a goal of mine, to start wearing my color apron more so I don't ruin all of my clothes. This one is from Product Club. Like I said, it's one of the brands that I'm truly obsessed with. They make great tools, color tools, everything that you need and your heart needs for its little desire to get everything and anything. I'm gonna adjust this. It's probably gonna flap on me. Okay, so we got our apron. Next up we are gonna need is the formula that we are using today. So we have Ruskin 10. Our roots are going to be a 3N. And then our second formula is going to be 5N and 6G. Then we're going to be working with our 10 volume developer. I always do that because over here on YouTube, they love it. It's that ASMR. They love it. We're going to need 2 color bowls. Gosh, that's a habit I do now. We're going to need 2 brushes. And then I always make sure I have a towel for wiping hands, wiping tools, anything that you'll need. A tip that I like to do with my towels is I like to get them wet and then I hang them off of my tray. I believe a wet towel does a lot more than a dry towel, because a dry towel you're wiping. A wet towel is just going to wipe it right off for you. Next up is gloves. I want to talk about gloves real quick. Are you a hairstylist that does hair color? Do you have inflammation? Do you have anxiety? Do you have skin issues? We work with color all day, every day behind the chair. And it is super important. I used to think gloves was just to protect our skin from getting stained. Our skin is absorbing everything and anything that we are using. And we are working with chemicals every day. So making sure we are wearing gloves that are going to protect us from those chemicals and not just stains on our fingernails and our hands is going to be super important. I also like to make sure that I'm wearing gloves that come all the way up and past my wrist. So it's really covering all of that. And I have like the tiniest little kid hands you could see. I usually would wear a small glove, but I've been upping the size of my glove to a medium. Because my little Halloween nails, it's not gonna puncture through when it's a looser fit. And I am one of those, I need to touch with my skin. I'm still trying to put myself in the good habit of wearing my gloves. It makes it easier to pull it off and then stick your hand back in it. Then next up, we are gonna need some pop-up foils. And then we are gonna need a second foil with a second color on it. And today I'm gonna be using Product Club, their gold and black emblem. And I will get into why. Then next up, we're gonna make sure that we have clips, we have a brush, and then we also have on there, I have a board. A board when it comes to all over color, toning, anything where I'm fully saturating the hair, I need a board. And the reason is it's cutting down on product and it's fully saturating for me. So Color Canvas, that is the board that I'll be using today. I especially love this one. I don't know if you guys can see it. I try to show it anytime. It has a shift to the tip of it, so it can really get up close to the head. All right, so we have gone through all the tools. Now we need our client. We're gonna have Miss Sally Jo come on in. Come on in, Miss Sally Jo. Isn't she pretty? So this is Pivot Point. I get asked all the time for a good mannequin for practicing on and anything else that you need, whether it's color, cut, Pivot Point. I love, love, love them. Just like how I announced him with Christian Michael hair extensions, I'm really big on how hair is sourced. In this industry, you will find companies that do not source their hair ethically. So making sure that you're supporting and working on companies that are ethically sourcing and taking care of the hair is important. Pivot Point is one of those. They have a full story, if you guys look into it, with how they source their hair. It's incredible. So we are using a Pivot Point mannequin. And also, I want to point out, Pivot Point has men mannequins and they have different textured mannequins and they have mannequins with gray hair. So they're covering all the bases for you guys. Now that we're done with all that, you guys ready? You want to get into the color application? Let's go. I have a lot of energy apparently today. I'm very peppy. Now we're going to talk about my sectioning. If you're new to my class, you're going to learn this, and every time you come to class, you're going to know that I section the exact same way every single time. Every single time I section this way for a few reasons. One is because when my client comes back, I can pick up a pattern like that. I'm not going, oh my gosh, which section did I use? It really allows me to get in and be able to pick up my color pattern from prior much easier. And what that allows you to do is I can pick up my highlights quicker. I can pick up my lowlights quicker. It allows me to work much faster. Also, my sectioning that I use, it took me a while to really think of a good sectioning that would work, that was going to cut down on time. Because I am all about time is money. I charge by the hour. And so as that clock is ticking, it's important to make sure that I'm utilizing my time. And so with the sectioning, it is a super simple, sweet sectioning that you're going to see that I'm going to be doing. And don't mind, she's got a lot of product in her hair from time prior, so that's what's coming out of the hair. So with this sectioning, you're essentially working from backside left, right. And how it's going to look is we're first going to take her, and I'm going to ask my client, where is your natural part? And with her, we're going to say it's kind of off-centered, okay? Then we're going to come over to the back side of Miss Sally Jo, and what we're going to look for, here is her crown. What we're going to do is we're going to take our comb, we're going to bend it, and right where it's balancing right here, let me turn her sideways so you guys have a better view. All right here on the crown, see where it has that bevel and where it balances right there? That is going to be where I'm going to section my back part too. Oh gosh, tripod issues. I'm going to come back here, so it's right about here. So we're going to come back with our middle off part. We're going to come down to where I balanced, and then we're going to do a diagonal forward towards the ear. This hand right here is coming underneath, and I'm touching her ear underneath. And we are going to help section it out. Once I open this, you guys will see. So this is going to be my section right here. It's a forward diagonal coming back from the crown. So this is going to be my left side section. And then we're going to do the exact same thing coming over to the right side. Now we don't have to balance the comb, but we're going to look and we're going to see where it's at. And I usually like to take the comb and point and go. And we're going to line it right up as much as we can with the section behind. I'm going to put my big old head in your guys' way for a second. Just need to make sure that's nice and clean. So now we have our left side, we have our right side, and then we have our back side. If you guys go and look at my color map that I have, it is exactly what you're going to see. We're working with 3 sections. We're covering each side of the head. How does this cut down on time? What it's going to allow me to do is I'm going to be able to work from back, left, right. I'm not going to be going back side, crown, left side, right side. It's very simplified and it's going to allow you to work with ease. What I like to show with the sectioning and how and why I take these big side sections. So as I drop this and let it down, let me clip the back away so I can show you guys. With how I section it all the way back to the crown, what is going to happen is, as we're working through the head today, we're going to be taking forward diagonal backs up the head, okay? So we're going to be working like so. Now, when this is important is we are covering the front side and the back side all at once. So this section right here, we're covering the front all the way back to that crown section that is going to drop over the back side of her head. Visually, if you're hand painting, this is going to really let you make sure you're connecting your front side to your crown area, and you're not going to have any weird gaps in that area whatsoever. And it allows you to work much cleaner. I feel like when there's too many sections going on, we can get lost, we can get confused, and then you kind of just feel like you're just done with it. So super simple, sweet sectioning. Let's put her back. And like I said, you guys, the head forms that I have for today's technique, it's in my, the highlights that you find on the bio. I have each class that I do. Like I had Master Your Gray. I had another one on there, and you'll find this one, and it has the head map on there for her. So now let's mix up our color formula that we're going to be doing today. Her roots are going to be, I'm going to show you guys the tones that we're using. So we are going to be using 3N right here. So you can tell that's pretty dark. And then we're going to be using 5N with 6G. This is really going to give a melted appearance. I also have one of my clients that I did this technique on. You'll find it in my bio, her hair. And it's expensive brunette. It's a great way for a reverse balayage, like I said. And now we have our bowls. We have our Product Club bowls. I like to work with different colored bowls. My darker bowl, darker formula. Lighter bowl, lighter formula. Common sense, but it helps visually when you're mixing. I can't tell you how many times I have, when I don't have my different colored bowls, when I've gone in and I have reached for the wrong color because I don't remember what color I'm in because I'm so into my color application. With Rusk's color, you guys, look how big this tube of color is. It's huge. It's 3.5 ounces of color. It's insane. With prices on everything going on, it's going to be so important that you are working with a color line that isn't giving you a teeny bit of color and you're paying double the price for. 3.5 ounces. She's huge. Now, I'm not using a scale today because she is at my studio. What we're going to be doing is, if you look on the side, see if my ring light will let me, you're going to find marks on the side. The marks on the side, you're going to see, it's going to measure how much. And so that's what I'm going to be using for my formula. So for her roots, we're just doing a straight up 3N. And if this was gray coverage, I would do a 1-to-1 mix ratio. Since this is not to gray coverage, we're going to do a 1-to-2 mix ratio. Now, what's really important when it comes to mix ratios is the stronger your formula, so say it's like a 1-to-1 mix ratio, the stronger that color is going to be. The more that you dilute it down with your developer, you're diluting it down. Now, you need to know your pigments. Like if you were over in Deep Shine Permanent, for example, the NC, the Neutral Cool, that is triple the pigment. And if you do not mix it accordingly, do not do a 1-to-1 mix ratio. You have to do your right mix ratio or else you're gonna have a pigment issue. So make sure you know your mix ratio, specifically with Ruskin 10 today, you guys. I like to say that Stubborn Gray is 1-to-1 because that's really gonna be your strongest formula for you. Then for our everyday and most cost efficient is gonna be a 1-to-2 mix ratio. Then you can even shear it out and you could do a 1-to-3 mix ratio if say you're wanting to create a gloss. Now the only time we create a gloss is with permanent color is if there's no virgin hair on the head. So if I'm working with a client that I've been doing nothing but like gray root touch-ups on her and I'm always working with permanent color, and say I highlight her and I don't have the gloss I want, or I want like a heavier pigment load and not as sheer of a coverage that you would get from a gloss, that's when I would use my permanent color. And Ruskin 10 is such a great option for that because it only needs to be on the hair for 10 minutes. So if you're not sure if it's gonna work, it's gonna work, I promise. And my tired little hands from today already doing hair, they're not wanting to squeeze. I have a beautiful color key at my studio that I use, and we're just doing our hands. So I'm doing a full tube of each one because I know that that is 3.5 ounces. The mix ratio for both of these is going to be a 1-to-2 mix ratio, and I'm using a 10 vol for both. For the second formula, which is the 5N6G, I might even jump this up to 20 volume if I'm wanting to get a little bit of a brighter lift and kind of like mimic more of like a faux balayage for me. So I am very particular with my workspace. So I need to clean this up. Do you guys have any questions while I'm getting everything cleaned up and reorganized? Any questions? Remember, no question is a dumb question. And if you're scared to ask in front of everyone on live in the comments, you can always send me a DM. I'm always here for you guys. All right, let's set those to the side. Let's get our glovey gloves on and let's start this color application. And knowing that this is 10-minute color, I only need to leave it on for 10 minutes. But it's not going to get dark on me as I'm applying the color. First up, we're going to take a whisk. This is Product Club whisk. I find it very, 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 very important to use either a whisk or a spatula when it comes to mixing up your color. And that's for a few reasons. So when I am mixing lightener, have any of you guys had where your lightener swells and you're having swelling issues with your lightener? One of the main things could be you're using a whisk and you're whisking it and you're creating air into it. And therefore you're gonna get some swell from your lightener. When it comes to color, I use a whisk, and I use a whisk because if I use a color brush, for example, it's not gonna give this creamy consistency that you want. It's gonna leave it with a clumpy consistency. And when you have a clumpy consistency, that means that you're not breaking down that pigment to be able to give you a consistent color from root to end on your application. So making sure you're going in with color, whisk, spatula, as long as you're using one or the other, that is what is important. And we're just gonna whisk, whisk, whisk. And I have a habit of, I usually will take my root color, the darker one, and I don't worry about cleaning the whisk. I'll plop it into my second formula because I feel like it gives it like a little bit of an oomph of that one. A lot of times it doesn't do anything. Cuts down on time though, that is for sure. Okay, so we have both of our formulas mixed up, and then we're gonna reach into my pop-up foils from Product Club. And since I don't have a beautiful shampoo bowl in my home studio for you guys, I'm very clean. I'm very, very clean with everything I do. I like to take my foil and I make a little cocoon for this whisk. So when I go to color, wash it, I'm able to. And I like to keep cleaning up my work station that I have here. All right, we're gonna bring her over. Now, first what we're gonna do is we're going to apply our root color first. Get our brushes in here. We're gonna come through and we're gonna apply the root color. Come through and apply. And this root color, you guys, again, this is a 3N Ruskin 10. It is nothing crazy. It's gonna give me a lot of depth. And I wanna make sure I get in a way where you guys can see what I'm doing, even if it is not the most ergonomic way for myself. So we're just gonna be doing a basic root application right here. And I'm just gonna chit chat with you guys. So, as you guys saw, and I was talking earlier, my big announcement and I've had to wait for this announcement to be able to talk about it, is being with Christian Michael Hair Extensions. I love extensions, and especially the education, the quality, making sure that everything that goes into it is something that I would want for myself, like the hair and how it's sourced and how that's all done. I want to make sure that what I am supporting and putting out there is what I truly believe in. I want to show you guys real quick on how I do my root touch-ups. I used to have a very crazy way that I would do that took me forever in beauty school. Make sure you guys can see that. So what I'm going to do is I apply the root all the way from front to back, and then we're going to come through. Let me move that color bowl. We're going to grab our color. We're going to outline my section. And once again, this color is going to all be melted into each other. So I'm not being very particular with the application for the roots. So we're going to take a forward diagonal, and then we're going to dip into our color, and then we're going to apply, and then we're going to apply. And I'm literally going to work up in these forward diagonal vertical sections from left to right. I believe this cuts down on your root application significantly. I was taught in beauty school, we did 4 quadrants, and then we had to do each quadrant at a time, and I was clipping the hair away each time, and it probably took me at least 2 hours. And I mean, this is when I was a beauty school student, but even when I got out of beauty school, I still was in the habit of doing my 4 quadrants. This application, how I do this, you guys look, I'm already done with the backside with applying her root color. And that was super fast. And what this is going to allow me to do, since I'm starting from the back and working my way up to the front of her head, it's going to allow for me to have a cleaner workspace. And you guys keep seeing I'm all about making sure my space is clean, everything is precise. So this is moving her hair out of her face, which she's going to appreciate when I go to the other side to apply the root. It's going to move that hair out of her face. And it's also going to keep her hair off of her face, which is super important, especially when you're working with dark color. And we're making sure when we're taking our lines, one of the biggest issues that I can see when it comes to gray coverage or root application is saturation. We take really thin sections for our foils, but you guys, you need to make sure that you're taking thin sections for your rootage as well. Because if you start taking too big of sections, it's not going to get that full saturation that you need all the way through. And then you go to rinse them out, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, look at what I missed here. Or you're going to blame it on the color. You're going to go, oh, this color doesn't work. It's not the color's fault. You just need to make sure you're going through and taking your time and getting those roots nice and covered. And as I've been talking, I want to say this root on the left side has taken me a grand total of 5 minutes, you guys. Not long at all. This is the fastest, cleanest way that you can really apply roots. And once again, this is 10-minute color And Ruskin 10 is not progressive. So it's not going to progressively get darker and darker on me. And then I'm just working these vertical sections. And then we're going to hop on over to the other side. I like to lift up the hair on the front hairline and paint it because it's going to get rid of those babies. And I do this exact same thing. I go in with a towel and I will clean up around their front hairline to make sure that sometimes you drop little bits on their face and you don't even realize it. Or like those baby hairs decide that they're going to play with everybody. So making sure you keep it nice and clean is very important. We're going to hop over to our right side. And once again, we are just going to come through and we are going to do vertical sections. First, I'm going to lift up her hair so I can get underneath. And we're just going to outline. Sorry, my head's going to be your guys' way for just a hot second. I'm going to apply this. Now, when you're working on your clients, especially back in this neck area, you're going to have some clients that have a really long neckline. And what I mean by that is they have hairs that go all the way down their neck. Please, please get those hairs. You do not have to take the brush and saturate onto the scalp like how I'm doing right now, but make sure that you're going through and painting over it or at least hitting it so you can comb up those neck hairs. You know what I'm talking about. It's those neck hairs that go all the way down some of their necks. It's getting those hairs, and I'll sometimes take like a comb and I'll comb up their neck. And we are just taking vertical back sections. Now, once I'm done applying the roots, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the sectioning that I just showed you guys. It's the same exact sectioning that I do on every single client for every single color service where it's not just a root touch-up application. And I want you guys to think of more stuff that you can do with 10-minute color and not just think, oh, it's express root coverage. It's that, but I want you to look at it as your normal permanent color that she can do everything that you need her to do. She can process with a highlight on. You can hand paint with her. Really utilize it like your permanent color, and you're going to see the endless opportunities. And the fact that you can rinse after 10 minutes, that is the game changer. And if you're like, yeah, I'm going to put it on with some highlights, the cool part with that is with the highlights, once you check your highlights and they're done processing, you can go ahead and remove it. All right, so now I'm working in a very awkward position. Let me reposition my mannequin. Remove her. Oh God, she's getting squirrely. I have very limited working space right here when I try to stay in camera view for you guys. All right, that's a little bit better. We're still a little awkward. I'm trying to make sure I'm not blocking you guys of my color application. Now, some struggles or questions that I get with Ruskin 10 is coverage. And I mentioned it earlier to you guys that you have to be, I'm going to start taking vertical back in a different way so I'm not covering the head. You need to make sure, are you dropping at one full level? If you're used to working with a European color line, like Deep Shine Permanent with Rusk, that's European. So if you're grabbing a 6 with Ruskin 10, that 6 is going to be more like a 7. You're going to have a hot root with it. Then you want to make sure that you are adding the right amount of N, NN, or G that is needed for that formula. If you have a super, super resistant gray client, that's when I'm going to add Boost. And you guys saw me talking about Boost very lightly as I was going through the color swatches. Boost is clear. And in any color line, you will find a clear. And clear for permanent color is colorless color, aka ammonia. And what is ammonia going to do? It's going to raise the alkaline of the hair. And when the alkaline is raised, what happens? It opens up the cuticle. So think of the cuticle like shingles on a roof. And when those shingles open up, it's going to allow for better color deposit. Look at this. See that right there? I was my balayage class. I did it on her and I did it with conditioner. And so that's what's kind of on there still. So that's what you guys are seeing if you're seeing it. So making sure that I will add a ribbon. And when I say a ribbon, it's from one side of the color bowl to the other. I will add a ribbon of Boost to my color formula. And that's just enough to help with raising that pH balance and get better deposit and better lift for my gray coverage. Now, something I do want to point out too is when it comes to gray coverage, how gray are they? And why I say that is, are you working with a client that has more white? Like, you know, that more of the salt, as some of us will call it, salt than pepper. So they have no pigment whatsoever in their hair. And when you go in with your N or NN series, you may get a struggle with it because you're not going to get the coverage in it because you need to fill that white hair. Sorry, I was trying to read. So if you feel like you have a client that has a lot more salt than pepper, that's why adding G Gold to your formula is so helpful and you'll get better coverage because it's kind of filling that hair for you. All right, you guys, now we're going to come back and we're going to jump into the sectioning that I showed you guys in the beginning. So all the roots, they are covered, they are good. We're going to come through and I know exactly where her crown is bending. We're going to section, we're going to take our comb, we're going to come over, grab a clip because we're going to start in the back side. So the back side, we're going to be taking horizontal sections all the way up until we get into the left side, right side sectioning that I'm doing right here. You don't always have to go through and do the back side of the head. Hold on, let me make sure I'm seeing some questions that are thrown up here. I saw one. How much gold would you add? That's a good question. So with the gold, I'll add essentially what I feel. I'll add a ribbon. So one side of the bowl to the other. I add ribbons of colors and I call them my anchor colors. Like I might add, say this is a level 5 that I have on our root. And when I washed her, it did not have that coverage and it felt more like it needed more depth, but I didn't want to take that depth all the way down. Then that's when I would take an anchor color of a little bit of like say a level 4. I would take a ribbon of it. So same thing with the gold. That's how I would do it. So when I'm working up horizontal sections, I'm just going to clip that hair away right there. All right, let me pull my color tray right in front of me without knocking these down. So this is when this guy is going to come in handy. So with the sectioning, if you guys look at my sectioning, I say we're going to take our first section low. So we're going to take this root and drag it down low. You can take it all the way to the end if you want. But I'm going to leave her ends out and we're going to come back in with color formula 2 and then we're going to saturate. So we're merging the 3 with the 5 and we're going to create a middle melt color. So if you have a 3 and a 5, you're going to have that 4 right in between. So that's creating a 4 automatically without even having to formulate for it. We're going to take our foil, place it underneath, and we're going to pull away the paddle. All right, I need to put this down where I don't ruin my stuff. Now we're going to come back through. So this one, we drug the root all the way low. Your second section, it's going to be a horizontal section. This is going to be your mid. So we're going to take the root and we're going to drag it midway down. We're going to come back through with our paddle, place it up, hold down the ends. We're going in with our 3N root color, applying it, and we're going to take it just halfway. When I say mid, it's halfway. Then we're going to come back over with our second formula and we're going to melt it right up there. So knowing that the color underneath is going to be darker than this one, with how the 3 is to here and the ends are brighter and the one underneath is drug through, we are building in beautiful melty depth. Now we're going to come through. We're going to take our foil, and what I'm using this foil for is my hand is supporting underneath it, and I'm holding it and pressing it underneath that root and letting it go. I don't need to encapsulate and fold each foil. I'm making sure that I'm going through and that color is supported with just that one foil, because we're not needing to get lift or anything like that, so there's no reason to put a foil on top. Let them be out in the air. The third section, so you're gonna have 1, 2, and 3. So this one, we're gonna kind of just leave the root where she's at. I might drag it down slightly. We're gonna push our board up into her head. And this is why I love the board, because it really allows me to get, see this color up here in that corner? I can see that color that I need and I can press into it and get it where I need it, okay? So now this one, we're just doing a slight root drag and we're gonna bring that second color formula right up to it. So you're gonna repeat this pattern all the way up the head. So your first section, you're gonna drop as low as you can. You can even do the whole entire section, that darker level, that root level. Okay, so we're mixing there. We're grabbing our pop-up foil, holding our hand underneath it, supporting it, and then pulling down. We're going to come back through. So now we're starting all over with our sectioning. So we're going to come through, horizontal section, drop the root. So since we're starting the pattern all over again, what is this one going to be? We're going to take this root, and this is going to be the lowest that the root's going to go. And once again, why I like this, you guys can't really see it, I'm pushing it on my stomach. So when I'm placing this board underneath, I'm pushing it into her head. I'm able to hold the ends how I want them. And it's allowing me to have that support where I need it. We're going to take this level 3N. Make sure you're coming up high where you need it if it's not colored. And then we're going to really drag this down nice and low, this 3N. So this is going to create that depth that's going to bounce off the other two. In this one, I'm doing the full entire section. We're just going to get in there and get dirty with it. Grab your pop-up foil and come underneath and then lay down. Now, if you're worried because you're like, Katie, you're putting a 3 and smearing it all over the board, that's when you can take your towel and wipe it. And that's when my OCD comes in. I'll just wipe it right up there because I know that that's always going to be the root formula up high. So that's the back side. Now we're going to jump over to the right side of her head. Make sure you guys can see. And this is where we're going to do forward, diagonal, back sections. Grab this guy down to put it back over here. Oh, I kid you guys. I kid. My mouth is going too much. We're going to take this one and we're going to grab our board. And this one I'm going to do with just a slight root drag. So this is the veil. This is your last section that you can decide if you want to drag it all the way down, what you want to do with it. Sometimes I'll leave it out. I hesitantly thought about leaving it out for a second, but we are going to apply our second formula onto it and really melt into the root color. And drag it down through her mids and ends. And see how I'm able to really push and saturate this full section? That is why boards come in so handy as well. I feel like when you're trying to saturate on your hands, you're just constantly, you can overwork the color. So now we're going to hop over to the right side of the head. And what I'm going to do, you guys, is that's when I'm going to take this guy. So these short foils, I like to use them to protect the hair. So we're gonna come in, we're gonna take it and we're gonna place it right along the part. So when I'm flipping over the hair, it's protecting when I flip over the hair from that hair getting color on it. And I'll show you what I mean. Where did my comb go? There it is. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna do our first forward diagonal. And then we're gonna take this hair and we're gonna clip it up and out of the way. So that's why I'm gonna take my comb, clip it up, take my clip, we're gonna clip it on just the ends and then lay it over your foil. This piece is the piece that is right dropping in front of their face. This is where you need to decide as a stylist, especially with brunettes, they like to have it dark or do they want to have it light? Well, with her, we're going to have it kind of in between. So I visually know when I come through this front section, I'm going to start my pattern high, okay? Because I want to still have some of these highlights coming up high on her. If she was more of that desired brunette, she likes to feel nice and rich, I would take that formula and I would drag it all the way down. So since I'm starting at high, I'm doing a reverse of what I did in the back. So now we're going to bring the root high, the next one's going to be mid, and the next one's going to be all the way down. And we're just coming through and making sure that we are fully saturating. And then when it comes up to merging the two colors, that is when these boards come in very beneficial because I can really push and saturate. And as I'm taking my color brush and pushing it into the hair, it is going to automatically blend and make sure that saturation is there for me. We're going to come through, hold our hand and support it, lay it right underneath that rootage area, and then drop it down. Wipe our hand. Now we're going to repeat the process. We're going to come back up to our next section. Forward, diagonal, back. And the density of their hair is going to dictate how thick of a section you're going to take. I'm taking about 1 inch of a section right now. So, all right, we took this one there. So the root, we're going to drag midway on this next section here. So we're going to come back under. We're going to place our board right underneath. We're going to go in with our root formula and we're going to apply it and we're going to drag it midway down the hair. So midway essentially is halfway down the hair when I say that. And making sure that we're getting all that saturated. Coming back over with Formula 2. I sometimes like to apply the formula to the ends and then I walk the color up because I feel like it's securing that hair down. It's gluing down these ends, and when that happens, it makes it easier for me to go in and blend these colors together. Go sideways, sideways, and then flick up. And then we're going to come through. Take your foil, support your hand underneath it, lay it down, and pull it straight down. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, now we're going to come back over, and we're going to take another forward diagonal back section. And you guys can see how this section is covering the front side of her head to the back side of her head. Now, if you start to feel like it's too much hair for you to control, what you can do is you can subdivide it. So you can take your section, subsection it, start on the back one, so I'd come right here, start on this back one, and then we'll move to the front one. All right, so this one is going to be all the way down. So we're going to hold it tight, we're going to apply it, feather it, and we're going to make sure we drag this roots all the way down. And this is really where you're going to make sure you're building in that depth, is these sections right here that you're dragging all the way down. Don't be shy with it, because if you get shy with it, you're going to wash out your color and you're not going to see much of your color done. So we're going to take our foil, place it underneath, support it, and drop it. And then we're going to come over to our front section. And I over direct the hair back when I'm working on it. So we're going to come into this front piece right here, lay it down. This one, I'm not going to drag it all the way down because this is around her face and I want to create some lightness. So we're just going to glue those ends down. Now we're coming back in with this level 3, coming right up on the board where it's allowing me to really get in. And then we're going to come back over here because that's where I want to take it down to. And then they're merging. They're marrying each other. They're melting right there in that mid area. And it's really important to remember where you're marrying it and melting it, because you don't want to take this and just go all willy-nilly crazy with it. If you see me going all willy-nilly crazy with it, that means I'm wanting to kind of melt it and give a little bit more depth in one area than the other. We're coming back over with our foil. We're placing it underneath. And voila! A change of subject. Have you guys been seeing the, well, I'm sure you have if you watch the news, the strike that's going on with the East Coast ports and how that's going to affect hair color and us, especially if you're using a European brand, how that's going to affect us. So with Rusk, I've already talked to them, and they said that if we do hit a shortage and we can't ship, then we will fly over the color that we need. So Rusk hair color comes from Italy. It comes from Europe, and it can freak some of you guys out because you're like, oh my gosh, the ports, they're striking. How long could this go on for? I've already been asked by a few people as to, oh my God, are we going to be able to get our color, our products? It's coming in from the East Coast on that port. Are we going to get it? The first thing to tell you guys is we have a massive warehouse that's filled with color. And then if we need to, we will make sure we fly it over. Another question that I've been asked about is color, like our glosses. Stay tuned. They will be coming. I promise you guys. So here's our front section. This is our last piece. We have these two right here. I'm going to make sure I keep this color kind of up on the higher side. I'm going to drag down the root, but not all the way. And you guys don't have to follow the exact pattern that I told you. You really use your own artistic, like, okay, this piece I want a little bit more depth. I just want you guys to think about low, medium, high. And when I say low, medium, high, what you're thinking about is your color placement. Am I placing this color low enough that it's going to give the depth? Because if you start placing all the color at the same length, you're going to miss out on a lot of depth. Or you might give it way too much depth. All right, last section, you guys, over here on this side. Make sure I got it all. This last piece is the veil. I'm going to completely pull it down. I want to saturate this and give it a nice dark veil so that when her grow out happens, she has a beautiful grow out. And this veil, the top veil section, I love, love, love to use it with lived in color as my veil that covers the outgrowth, because it's going to cover any outgrowth underneath here. And so keeping this more on the darker side, it's going to help with making sure that that outgrowth is really kind of covered. It's the veil that's going to go right over it. And as you see, when I am melting, I'm taking my brush and at a vertical, and we're melting it up. All right. And then I just need to come back over here and apply it. And I will rinse her out, and I will finish her, and I will make sure you guys see the finished result tomorrow. I'm going to keep coloring though. Move her around. Trying to not make a mess. Usually when I work with reds, I create the biggest mess everywhere. So we're going to take our Product Club, our shorter foil. I prefer the shorter over the pop-ups because You don't have to worry about like changing the size of it. You just lay it back over. So this is going to give you guys a different angle, a different point of view. So we're going to do forward, diagonal, back. And now, this is very important that you remember what you started with on the other side. And if you guys remember, I said that I wanted to give her a little bit of lightness. So depending on if they're a brunette that really wants to feel like they're a brunette, I would pull this piece all the way down. But I want to create some lightness that goes around her front face. So we're going to start with our pattern with the high root, okay? So this is going to be the high root. We're really making sure we saturate that area and we get that blend. Then we're going to come back through, dip it, and get her ends. Saturate, saturate. We're going to grab our pop-up foil, hold the foil underneath our hand, push it underneath, protect the face, and pull the balayage board away. Come back, unclip. So then her next section, since this was a low, it was or a high, whichever way you want to look at it. The next one is going to be a mid, because this one we're going to go mid with the color. So it's going to go halfway with the root. And once again, this is creating that depth and that pop where you want it. And this is going to really mimic a balayage for you. It's a great way to do a reverse balayage. I feel like I really struggled when I was just doing my reverses to add depth in. I felt like I was doing a ton of work, and I go to rinse them out and I'm like, oh my gosh, there is like no depth because it gets lost in the hair. And you can really do a million lowlights into the hair and still feel like there's nothing done, because it's all about strategic placement. And this placement that I do right here is very strategic for adding in that depth. Now, say this was a client who comes in for root touch-ups. I'd have her come in, and we've been doing a level 3 on her roots because that's our formula today. So we've been doing a level 3 on her roots. But as you know, the mids and the ends are going to lighten up over time. You know, it's been a few months and you've done a few glosses, and that's great. But now she's kind of just like one color. That's when coming in with the second formula and melting is going to help, because these mids and ends, there is no way they're still going to be that level 3. They're going to be faded. So going in with 2 levels lighter and adding in some boost if needed to make sure, because you know, color doesn't love color. We're not trying to do that. But you can definitely go 1 level up and add in the depth. Or you can just literally go in with the root formula and do high, medium, low like I'm showing you guys, and not worry about your second formula. Come back through, get her hair. And remember, this one around the face, I'm not wanting to take it all the way down, even though the one right behind it I did, because I'm wanting a little bit of brightness around the face. And then I'm going to paint the tips. And then we're going to walk it up in a vertical, really saturating. I'm using the board and pushing it right up against my stomach, and I'm pushing the board onto her head as well, so I have that stability with it. And then if you're ever worried that you're like, maybe I didn't get that root pulled down enough, that's okay. Just go back up with it and melt it. And it's just going to keep melting your colors, especially knowing when you're formulating what color you're melting onto it is very important. So if I was working with a copper with this or an ash, you have to know your melt formula. When they're melting into one another, you need to know what tones you're working with, so you don't end up with, you know, the mid, when they touch each other, you don't end up with a weird mid color at all. Now, if you guys are needing to get any Rusk hair color, that's where you guys can go to ruskpro.com, and Rusk Pro is going to be where you will find education, formulas. You'll be able to purchase product directly off of there. Rusk Pro is going to give you all of the up-to-date what to knows with Rusk. You know, if we have sales going on or anything like that. All right, this one is wanting to fight me. So I'm going to re-pull it, really push it up against the head and paint. I was having a hard time getting right there. I need to wipe my hand, get me a foil, and place it underneath. Okay. And then this one, we're going to make sure that we mimic it. We're going to pull it up, and it's following that pattern or making sure that you're following a similar essence of that pattern of the low, medium, high as to how low you're dropping this root color and how high you're bringing up the brighter color. That is what's going to create that depth and that tone for you. Da, da, da. This ring light gets so hot, you guys. I have a fan next to me that's going, but whoo, I am sweating right now, and I hope you guys can see pretty good with what I'm doing. Place that foil underneath, hold it, support it, and drop it down. And you guys, in this hour, I have been able to talk color theory, have an announcement, and we're almost done with this color application. So this application is going to be really, really fast as well. It's not going to take you forever. And as you see how I'm working from the left side to the right side, we're getting the front to the back. It's really cutting down that time for me. We're going to subsection, come through, take our board, push it into the head. And if this was a client, I would lower her down so I could really get in here and support myself with the board. And if you guys stay tuned, I am going to be doing a launch with Color Canvas. They have these beautiful acrylic boards, you guys. This is one of them. But these boards that they're creating, it is like next color level inspired that they're coming out with, and I will be doing that with their launch date. It's on my page right now with information. You guys don't want to miss out on it. It's gonna be good, and you want to make sure you get yours ordered and snagged up. All right, we're dropping this one a little bit lower because visually I'm wanting more lightness here and there, and so this is where you can really go in and get creative with just following those placements and where you want to put them, whether it's high, medium, or low. Like I said, you can either stick straight to the high, medium, low and follow that all the way up, or as I know around the face, I want a little bit more brightness. In the back, I want a little bit more depth. So I'm still following that, but kind of altering it just slightly. All right, so I'm going to turn her just a little bit. I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is one of my favorite techniques to do, and it is that time of year where we are just adding in tons of depth back into our clients. So we're going to place this right there. I'm going to grab this, and this is when we're really going to come up in this root area and feather, 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 making sure we're getting all of that colored. Probably going to place the foil underneath because there was a piece of hair that came up from the other side, and we're going to utilize my hand over on that side since I don't feel like it's getting covered. Being aware of where your guys' color is and where it's going is going to be very important too. So I want to make sure this is very saturated. I'm talking about this little random guy right here. He's not wanting to play with me, so I'm going to make sure I pull him and put him where I need him, and we really get it nice and saturated. Taking your time, but also being smart about your time. I'm very particular about everything. So before I drop down on the foil, I'm going to make sure everything is exactly where I want it. All right, you guys, last section. All right, so we're going to come up through here, and remember, this last section is my veil. So I'm going to make sure that I drop it down the root a lot further. We're gonna drop it almost all the way down, and we're just gonna leave out a little bit of the ends. So we're gonna place the board right up nice and tight. I'm gonna really grab as much color as I can, because I wanna make sure we get this nice and saturated. She's fairly a big section. Using the tail of my comb to manipulate and put the hair where I want it. Making sure that you don't get lumpy with the hair, because then you're gonna have lumpiness in your color. Really drag that all the way down. And like I had over here, I have this piece because it's coming from the front. And then we're gonna come back to our second formula and we're just gonna brighten up these ends. And this color has been sitting on her hair and it is not gonna be black. But what's nice, as soon as I'm done with this little piece right here, you guys, I'm gonna start my timer for 10 minutes and I get to wash it. Voila! All right. Place everything so I do not create a hot mess. Neat to me. Whew! Let's move this out of the way. And then I'll give you guys a little peek-see. I thought I just wiped color. Hold on, let me check. I didn't. I thought I wiped color across my whole face. So here is the back placement. Here's the side with the foils. And here she is. All right, you guys. Well, that was fun. I talked a whole ton on there. I saved that, well, I'm going to be saving this on my page. So if you weren't able to watch the whole thing, you can go to my page, check it out. I am going to put back in my bio, Rusk, Olivia Garden, Product Club, and now Christian Michael Hair Extensions. I have the link for my upcoming class for Christian Michael Hair Extensions in California this November. The link will be up on my stories, but it is on my bio. And make sure you guys go over to ruskpro.com for any of your Rusk needs. And I will see you guys again here next Tuesday. And happy Rosh Hashanah to everyone. Happy Jewish New Year. And have a beautiful, beautiful night. Whew. All right, you guys. Thanks for being with me. Bye.